facts don't seem to be part of their criteria these days. They'll do anything they can to defeat this man. I've never seen anything like this before. The guy couldn't hardly stand up, and they were going to run him against him. They found out the polls that he can't win, and so they're running another somebody against him. Anything but Trump. They're all in trouble. They're all crooks, and when it's all disposed of and all found out, there should be some people going to jail. The people committing treason to the United States of America, and they're government officials, and they need to be reprimanded and booted out of this country if that's what's required and what's necessary.
Where were you when the attempted assassination of President Trump happened on July 13th?
Oh my gosh, I was at my grandmother's house, just the whole world stopped.
Do you think that the Secret Service handled that appropriately?
Absolutely not. I mean, Secret Service is supposed to have an 800-meter perimeter that's locked down airtight, and the fact that some person got in within 200 yards of the president with a rifle, climbs up a roof that should have had Secret Service on it. There's nobody on the water tower. There's too many strange coincidences here. I mean, the reality is, when it comes to big people like Trump, is you really get three lives. The first life is they cancel you on social media. The second life is they try to then bring up court cases and throw you in jail. When all else fails, option three is they have to kill you. And that's unfortunately where we're at.
I was actually campaigning as well too when I heard about it. Actually, a buddy of mine texted me, and I thought it was a joke at first. And then I immediately, got on social media and realized this is reality. This is sad what it's come down to maintain power. And I think this isn't the country that I came here for. I'm an immigrant. I came here as a kid. I lived through a war in Nicaragua from Central America. And for me, this is not the America that I came to. I love this country. I stand for this country and everything that law and order is a part of. And this, to me, is completely unacceptable.
I never thought that I would live to see a day like that in my life. What's happening to this country is so evil. My husband actually comes from Europe, and he remembers the Red Brigades, he remembers the communists, he remembers the assassinations. He grew up partly in Italy, and they've been a very divided country. Thank goodness for Giorgia Meloni. She's really helped unite it and get it back on the right track. But I mean, he says, I see this. He says Antifa, and he says, oh, that's the communists. He sees communist symbols. We don't understand. He's able to speak 5 languages, and he can read the news, and he can see what's going on. We're clueless in this country that this is a Marxist takeover. And we have to be vigilant because we will lose our country otherwise.
I'm seeing look, when I was a kid, I grew up with bombing, with assassinations. We would have political leaders assassinated. I remember seeing terrorist wanted posters, and I would ask my parents, who are these people? He says, oh, very dangerous people. We'd have car bombs go off. The level of violence that I grew up as a kid in Europe has now come to America, and people better wake up, because these are not Democrats or liberals or even progressives. These are hardcore communists, Marxists, and anarchists, and they're upping their game to a whole different level. They're not afraid to use the kind of violence that, quite frankly, really has not been seen in America until now. I came over here, and it's kind of scary to see that those same forces are now here in America, and I don't want them to do here what they did over there. And they literally, it was to a point where we had almost a state of emergency. It was that bad, because eventually they just spread out, and they got a huge support among students and union members and factory workers and others, and they had a whole, if you will, movement built around them. And so they are very dangerous, and they should really be watched.
Well, we're even hearing now from Democrats, certain Democrats, and from certain news channels that the whole thing was staged. What do you think about that?
Look, we watched it with our own eyes. We saw what took place. There's no way that is a staged situation by Trump. He doesn't need to do that. 2, that's outside of his character. And 3, we know that the only way that the left or the deep state can stop him is, unfortunately, to take him out like that.
With President Biden stepping down, what do you think America's going to look like under President Harris?
Oh yeah, it's hard to imagine, but yeah, she's such a leftist progressive that I think it would be just kind of a lot of more of the same that we've been seeing in the last 4 years, but even more extreme.
It scares the heck out of me. I don't particularly care for Kamala Harris, and I don't particularly care for her policies. I think she's got a new writer for her speeches, and she's actually listening to them. What she said in her first speech I thought sounded more together and more concise than anything else she's ever said for the past 3.5 years. But I think it's all a big fake, and I don't trust it.
I think it would be awful. She's anti-life. She was the one that was, throwing people behind bars and laughing about it, and she's really
That famous cackle.
the famous cackle. No, and also, I mean, if you've ever seen a speech, she can't put a speech together. She keeps repeating the same thing over and over and over.
A lot of word salad.
She's an empty suit, is what she is. And she slept her way to the top, so a lot of integrity there.
What do you think America's going to look like under President Harris?
There won't be much left, unfortunately. If you think things are really bad now, just wait. I mean, she's dropped the ball at every turn. She's the border czar who's never been to the border. She's lied every step of the way. And don't forget, the folks that are promoting her were the same folks just a couple of weeks ago that said Biden's the man for the job. He can do it. He's ready for it. So can you really take anything that they say for granted or seriously, for that matter?
So if President Trump wins in the upcoming election, what do you think he should focus on day one?
First thing, safety has to be number one. You have to protect the borders because a lot of radicals, including leftist radicals, but also jihadi radicals, are coming through our borders.
Child trafficking.
Fentanyl. Drug dealers. So first, protect the border. Number two, go after the people who are here and make sure that if you're not here legally, they gotta go. Because otherwise you have people, those people are a lot more susceptible to be radicalized and to be recruited by these extremist groups.
Well, I think he has an agenda 47. Yeah. We already know what he's going to do.
That's where everybody should go to find out what he's going to do on day one.
Yes. He's going to turn our country around in one day.
He needs to clean house. He's now got the manpower, woman power, that he didn't have before. And he can put the right people in cabinet positions, in staff positions, and he needs to clean up all the three-letter agencies, the FBI, CIA, NSA. They're rotten to the core. They need to go. And we need to basically, just like you said, make America great again. But it starts, I think, with cleaning up Washington, D.C., cleaning the swamp.
Is government too big, the right size, or needs to get bigger in size?
It's enormous. It needs to come way down. There's too much responsibility that's being taken care of by the government. And we become a nanny state and people are losing their own responsibility. It's not healthy. It's not the right thing to do. And we're paying for all this stuff. It's unnecessary. We can do it ourselves. You have the power.
We could feel they coming around. Day once a day going high. We've been living here for thousands of years. Peaceful and connected to this land. Blood will be shed.
What do you think some of the biggest challenges we have facing our country right now? If you could give us your top two out of all of them that we've got.
I would say immigration. I am an immigrant myself. My parents came from England, brought me and myself and my siblings when I was 4. That disturbs me. We worked hard to get our American citizenship. I don't like the border being open. And the second thing is the economy. It is so hard nowadays to pay for food, housing. Our children can't buy housing here. They're moving away. I think it's the economy and the immigration status.
Obviously, the biggest things is the inflation and the way in which government spending has been pushing that inflation, and that's why I think a real important thing for us today is to reduce government spending, control our national debt, and put more money in the hands of taxpayers and return those taxes to people.
Priority number one is he's got to lock down the border, and he has to, get the economy under control. We have to stop the spending. We have to stop sending money overseas and funding wars. And he also needs to sit down and open up those communication lines with these world leaders and find a way to bring peace around the world.
What are your thoughts on the border and the fentanyl crisis, child trafficking, all of this stuff that's happening just here, even in California?
I believe that it has to stop. I don't know how it got so out of control, but we need to do something as of yesterday. It cannot continue the way it's going, and it's a priority right now that we keep our communities safe, and it goes back to the point of public safety, right? It goes back to the point of also helping kids there's quite a bit, thousands of child traffickers, crossing through with kids as well. We got to stop that.
Any closing thoughts for us today, sir?
I think November is literally existential for the United States. The American people have to realize that if they don't vote, you are essentially by default voting for chaos, for anarchy. It's only going to get worse, and you're going to think these days were the good days. So go out and vote, and vote for the candidate that actually wants to bring America safe again. Hint, hint.
It's a republic if you can keep it, and it's very easy to get complacent in today's world. We're very comfortable with how things are. Food delivery, and you can just order stuff online. You don't have to really do anything anymore. Get involved, learn a skill, and talk about politics, talk about religion. I know they say it's taboo, but it's the most important thing, because politics might not be interesting to you, but politics is very interested in you.